All right, listener, thank you so much for always keeping your dial on radio patches. And as we continue celebrating the second Sunday of Advent, year B, let our every actions, words, and deeds be filled with true faith and, of course, dedication to Him. And let all of us proclaim Him and His good news through all the ways we do in journeying and also living through this blessed time and, of course, the season of Advent properly by witnessing to His love and grace, proclaiming His peace, hope, joy, and love to everyone around us and to our families and even strangers we encounter in our life. And let us also pray to the Lord that amidst our world darkened, that is with many conflicts and wars in various parts of the world, that He, the Prince of Peace, may bring about lasting peace and harmony in our world today. And of course, our topic for this wonderful sharing for this afternoon is also based on violence. And of course, here we are praying for peace in our families and also peace throughout the world. Otherwise, I want to say a very blessed afternoon to you, and you are most welcome to this program, the God is Calling, that comes to you every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. where we address matters concerning marriage life. We go deeper, analyzing issues that do affect our families. And of course, this is Radio Patches 94.5 FM, a Peace of Christ for all. And today is the 10th of December 2023, and we are 8 minutes gone. That is after 3 p.m. And as I said, our destination is gonna be 4 p.m. That said, for our topic for sharing this beautiful afternoon, as I rightly put it at the beginning, is about gender-based violence and, of course, mental health. We are going to, analyze these two key areas, what the other one can do to the other one, and how we can be able to, mitigate these I may say monsters in our families, because if we don't really address them up, we are finished. They are eating us up already, because many people have lost life because of violence. And of course, Mr. Gbv Daniel is here. He is going to explain these things into detail, and of course we shall be able to understand some of the causes and how best we can come out of these monsters, mental health and gender-based violence. That said, I do have Mr. Gbv Daniel with me in the studio. Mr. Daniel, you're most welcome.
Thank you, moderator. Good afternoon, listeners.
Okay.
Our listeners here in West Nile, those in Eastern Congo, South Sudan. I want to say peace of Christ for all, and I want to wish you a fruitful season of Christmas. Christmas is here. And I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2024. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, for coming through. Listen, as I said, we are going to talk about gender-based violence and mental health. And for your comments or concerns, you'll be able to use the studio line, that is 0701 887708 or 0393 2732. And 32. Of course, the SMS line is equal open for you. It is 0788956494. I am Fredo, the moderator for this beautiful program, God is Calling, that comes every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. Yes, first things first, as usual, Mr. Daniel. Of course, it may not be by mistake if I request you also to, give us really overview of what we are going to tackle this afternoon. And thereafter, of course, we need to understand what violence is, and of course, some of the issues connected to it. Those will come later on. But for the meantime, please make us understand the overview of this beautiful topic for this afternoon. Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Today we want to look at gender-based violence and mental health. So we want to look at the impact of gender-based violence on mental health.
Okay.
At the same time, how mental health triggers and escalates issues of gender-based violence. And then, but the issue here will be, how do we work together to see that we end gender-based violence in our families, so that we're able to live healthy lives. Also, we will be able to see how do we harness good mental health in our families, because family mental health plays a very big role. One thing I always say is mental health has a way of clothing family members with a garment of shame, dejection, rejection, despair. But we need to get to a place where we can be able to speak up. At the same time, we will also be able to see how people need to, especially those who have been through abuse or through gender-based violence, so that they can also, because we know that we have survivors who are actually hurting, who are traumatized because of their various experiences. We'll also be able to see how do we offer support and care for such people, so that at the end of the day, we look at how do we harness good mental health, how do we, as family members in our various families, have issues to address, especially as gender-based violence is concerned. Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Gratibi, for that beautiful overview you have given to us as far as our topic for sharing this afternoon is concerned. Now, talking about gender-based violence, if somebody talks about gender-based violence, what should come to the mind of the person hearing it for the first time?
Now, like gender-based violence, in simple terms, is any act or any form of violence that is targeted to any group of people based on their gender. And this kind of violence can have impact in terms of somebody's physical life. It can result into physical, sexual, or mental harm or suffering. And that's why I want to address these issues. And why we're looking at it in terms of gender, because in this case there is a level of where a gender that seems to be inferior is overpowered by the gender that feels to be superior. And so these are the issues that we want to discuss. So you find that this person who is the abuser, who is the author of this violence, begins to violate the rights of this other person who is even actually vulnerable.
True.
And these vulnerable categories can actually be the elderly, these can be the children, these can be the women, and at the same time the men.
True.
So that's what, in simple terms, that is what gender-based violence we could bring it to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. But still remaining with that, many times people tend to, isolate men from this. Many times people really isolate men from this. They consider women, of course, girls too. Now, what can you say about this?
That's true. I've lived to see men harassed by their wives. I've also seen stories where men try to come to maybe police to report such cases, or to come to the community to report such cases, but then the attitude is actually a bit weird. That's why, and then for us men, actually, that's why more men actually right now are battling mental illness as a result of gender-based violence.
True.
Many of them are battling mental illness because of different issues, and then also many of them are using violence as a tool to try to defend themselves, to try to prove a point that I'm still a man. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you see, the two go hand in hand. So some people use gender-based violence to try to show that actually I still exist, and they're using it in the wrong way. So at the end of the day, you see that things don't go well. And then the other problem is why then men use violence as a tool. Is because, like now, what happens is, even in my book here, How to Thrive Amidst Mental Health Problems, you see, for us men, we are told to be men. maybe if I read myself, somebody may not understand it. Maybe they might say that maybe it is maybe you can read for us.
Okay. That I grew up being repeatedly told and reminded to be a man. Into the pains of life as a man. I was discouraged from sharing my pains in life.
Now you can just pause there. You can see, even in many families, every boy child is told not to speak up. Now, even when a man is going through gender-based violence, the man will fear to come out. Because of fear of victimization.
True.
People will laugh at him because they will ask, what kind of man are you?
You're not a man.
You're not a man. How can a woman beat you? How can a woman do ABCD? So in a way, the man is stopped from speaking.
True.
That's why even today, one of the things that I want to be able to bring out is not only the men, but even every one of us, whether a girl, whether an elder, whether a child, whether a woman, we want to see, how do you speak up so that you don't die with this crisis? Because let me tell you something here. Because men are discouraged from sharing their experiences, because men are discouraged from talking about these issues, because of the shame, because of the guilt and all that, now men have tried to use other routes as an escape route. That's why most of the men now are given to drugs out of frustration. Men are into alcohol.
True.
Out of the stress, they have become alcoholics. They have become drug addicts. Others have become serial womanizers.
Even others have ended up committing
Others
suicide.
have committed suicide. Actually, here in West Nile, and not only even in West Nile alone, but you see that more men are committing suicide than women. Why? At least women are able to speak up, but men don't speak up.
They don't.
And because of the stigma, because this is stigma plays a very huge role. So that's why men actually don't speak up. But we want to help our family members that please, when you are going through any crisis in your life, when you are experiencing any forms of violence in your family, please speak up, seek for help. Help is always available. In as much as others may see you as unmanly, they will see you that you're not a man enough. But still, the truth is, you need to speak up to be able to be helped. At the same time, you need to be able to take care of your mental health.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, for those wonderful deliberations you have put forward. Listener, you are listening to Radio Purchase 94.5 FM. In case you have just tuned in, this is the program God is Calling that comes to you every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. where we address matters concerning family life. And of course, for today, we are talking about gender-based violence and mental health. The TV has been explaining what gender-based violence is. Men go through and of course they sit down pretending to be okay, but they are not okay. Yes, he has been actually explaining to us some of the things that do happen with men. Of course, he has rightly said that we should not sit down and keep quiet over these things. We should avail ourselves, and of course we can be helped. Otherwise, for your comments or questions, you can be able to use the studio lines, that is 0701 887708 or 0393 273232. Alternatively, the SMS line is equal open, which is 0788956494. Now, Mr. Daniel, talking about gender-based violence, if I may ask, what are the forms of gender-based violence?
There are around 7 forms, but mostly we focus on 2.
Okay.
In most cases, sometimes we just look at 1 or even 2. For example, the most obvious one is the physical violence. Physical violence is where physical force is applied. People will always say, so and so was beaten, because now when somebody comes out with one eye closed, one eye is closed, the one cheek is swollen, that is obvious sign that somebody, maybe there are bruises, or even sometimes there are cuts, because some people use even weapons like panga, knives and all of that. There's even blood and stuff. So that is one form of violence.
True.
Number 2, we have the sexual violence. Sexual violence is any form of sexual act performed on an individual without their consent. For example, rape. Many girls have been raped. I also know men who have also been raped as well.
True.
So you can see that this is sexual violence. Somebody is not in the thing, and you are forcefully forcing them into the act. So that becomes sexual violence. And here, I know majority of the percentage of the survivors of this are the girl child. It's the girl child. I know a few percentage of the boys also go through this, but in the bigger picture, the girl child is mostly affected. We have the psychological violence. This is where, this is an act which causes psychological harm in your mind. Now, this is where mental health crisis is, because it is not from here that people are forced into some things. There is a coercion, there is a verbal insult, there is a verbal assault, there is a harassment. Now, when you see, in fact, what makes you break down in most cases is not even the beating, but it is the emotional pain that you are carrying as a result of the violence. Now, you have the economic violence. Now, economical violence or the financial violence. This is where, for instance, the one who is the author of the violence restricts access to financial resources for the other person. Now, for example, maybe you are the man, you keep all the money, and you leave this spouse without any, and you restrict them access to any money, any form of any assistance. Or maybe you have the money, but then the children are not provided for, and you also restrict the children from the resources. Or maybe you are the lady and you have the financial muscle, bigger financial muscle, and then your husband may be broke or may not have any money, but then you use that power you have because you have the finances to control and manipulate the man. So that is now the economic violence that is actually now happening. And you see that these are the things which are not seen. People don't talk about it, but there are huge issues here. You know, so you find that's why some people, you will wonder, but your spouse is earning some money. We know you are from a wealthy family. How come the children don't look like the man is struggling financially, yet the woman is financially stable? How come the woman is really struggling, yet the man is financially stable? What is happening in that family is actually economic violence, where one person is manipulating, restricting access, and this person is using a lot of threats. Let me just, if you can open there, page 102 in my book there. There is something I talked about as far as this is concerned. Page 102. I want to ask you to check for me the abuser.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, an abuser doesn't play fair. An abuser uses fear. Guilt, shame, and intimidation to wear you down and keep you under.
Wears you down and keeps you under their thumb. So that is exactly what happens now here when it comes to the economic violence. This person is using, is manipulating your life. Is using all kinds of excuses, uses threats. That's why you find that some families will say, you either do this or else.
You face the other.
You better do this or else. So that's not using threats.
That's why some people say you will know why frogs have legs but they cannot walk.
So these are some of the gender-based violence people actually go through. True. So, and this does not only end here. It affects everything around the people. So that's why these are things that are happening in the families that needs to be addressed. There's a need, and you see, these all triggers mental health challenges. This is mine. not yours. So you hey, my thing, my this, my that. Yet you are a family. And then this one has a lot of damage on the mind of the family. That's why mental health crisis.
Maybe let me have this caller. Today we have to
sure,
go concurrently with the callers too, because the time is so fast running, right? Wow. Next time I will advise that when you call, really try to be an inch away from your radio for us to get you clearly. Yes, Mr. Daniel, we can still proceed. That one will come later on. Yes.
Yeah, sure. So, so those are some of the forms of violence people actually struggle with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when actually you were explaining about the forms of gender-based violence, it has triggered me to ask this question to you. What could be really the causes of gender-based violence? Somebody, as a man like me, jumping on a small girl, raping a person, and also denying my family, my wife, access to what I have. What could be the causes of these things, gender-based violence?
The causes are really many. One of it is culture. Our culture plays a very big role in promoting gender-based violence. I want to give you an example. I'm sure you have gotten this within the communities here in West Nile, that if a man does not beat his wife, then he doesn't love the wife. I'm sure you've heard of those, the way the culture promotes, in a way. Number two, the way the culture protects the men. Yeah, the culture. Then two, the society we're in now. There are things that have kind of become normal. That's why I talked about if a family, in your family, domestic violence has been, the order of the day. Fighting is always the order of the day. The children grow up seeing this happening, and then they embrace it and they assume this is the way of life. Monkey see, monkey do. So somehow our families, how we've laid the foundation for our families also matters a lot here. And then also you are looking at the other crisis now is the mental health. Because unless somebody is mentally sound, they won't involve themselves into issues of gender-based violence. So mental health also plays a very huge role here. That's why you see people who are mentally disturbed, they will defend whatever they have with that. Because one of the symptoms, I always say this, one of the symptoms, signs and symptoms of mental illness is the whole aspect of anger. They can harm. That's why you find that the people who are mentally not well, they sometimes even move with stones. They can stone you, they can harm you, they can do anything, they can beat you up and all that. So, and in most cases, when you look at it here in West Nile, in our families, where there are fights, most of those fights come as a result of somebody, one partner has taken his alcohol or another drugs. So the issue of drug use and the drug abuse promotes gender-based violence. In fact, if you ask most of the victims, they will even tell you the man was either drunk when he was doing this, and then, or maybe he had taken opium, or maybe he has taken his marungi and then added some other things. And even here now, there are so many drugs that are coming up. So you see that because of the drug use, because of the poor mental health and mental illness in the community, gender-based violence has been escalated. Okay,
all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel.
But there are even many other causes.
True. But we are actually 27 minutes to 4 p.m. Listeners, aside for your question, 01-887708 or 0393-273232. Alternatively, the SMS line is equal open for you. That is 07889564 and 94. Questions concerning gender-based violence and, of course, mental health. And now, talking about, some of the causes you rightly explained to us. Things to do with drug abuse, things to do with also the state of our minds also contribute a lot. But before we go to the effects of gender-based violence, let us talk to this caller. Radio Patches. Yes. Good afternoon. Your name and where are you calling from? Yes, Festo. Welcome. All right.
I would like to make some fun about it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You find, for example, the woman has been given all the financial business, control it, and we have the business, but at the end of the day, it has left. Now, you find sometimes when the kind of institution, or such a sacrifice, for example, the kind of that kind of you find at the end of the day, it is that the kind of violence. On the other hand, I've also seen some situations in the reverse where a man has been working and been a civil servant, things have gone bad, and at the end of the day, you find now the woman they try to redeem. At the end, the same man was being supporting the woman. I don't know what people feel about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, that is first of all the way from Zombo. I think you got him right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zombo, thank you, my brother. Actually, I was coming from Zombo yesterday. I was in Zombo. I was in Zeu, so I was in those areas.
Okay.
Talking about mental health. The thing here, that's why we want to see how do we harmonize these issues. How do we prevent? Because we need to prevent these issues. Because it is actually breaking families.
True.
It is breaking families. Actually, as we look at the effects here, it breaks families. It breaks communities. It affects the children. That's why there are so many issues of mental health crisis right now rising. Even children have become victims.
Yes.
Yesterday we were screening children, by the way. We were just doing screening for children. And, so it's affecting everybody. Because now the children have become the sufferers.
True.
Now, if the children are the sufferers and then they are resorted to drugs, what will you expect in the future? Yet they are supposed to be the future of today. So, thank you, Buana Festos from Zombo. These are the issues that we need to address. There are so many causes that can actually bring some of this violence. There are so many causes. But still, I want to emphasize, whatever cause, whatever reason it has come for, whatever reason it is, we need to
lost the job or
we need to come to a place where we must end violence. That should be our bottom line. We need to end gender-based violence in our families so that we're able to promote peace, we're able to promote unity, we're able to promote good mental health. So for me as a person, that's my dream. That the family, somebody was asking me, are you sure this thing of yours will work? Are you sure this activism of yours will work? It begins with you and me. Because if we begin to address it from the family level, then the community will be healed.
True.
Because every community begins with the family. Family is the smallest unit of every community. And if family can come together, if family can begin to embrace living a life free of gender-based violence, actually we'll be good to go.
Good evening. Your name and where you calling from? Yes, Austin.
Yes, Austin.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you. Yep. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Okay. This is Austin from Yumbe. By the way, that he mentioned something pertinent here, that people these days don't marry. You know, I don't marry you, but I marry what you have. And
That's why.
And when that thing is over, then you see.
That's why I always say this. If poverty comes through the door, love will jump through the window.
The window.
That's why when it comes to even marriage, please don't marry because of what somebody has. You know, because wealth can be made and you can lose it as well. So, but then if what is attracting you to somebody is their wealth, is what they have, I assure you, at the end of the day, violence will take precedence. So these are issues that we really need to address. That is a real thing. Thank you, Austin from Yumbe.
All right. Yes, listener, we can still pick your comments or questions on the studio lines. That is 0701-887708 or 0393-273232. Alternatively, the SMS line, that is 0788956494, because we are 19 minutes to, that is 4 p.m. At 4, we shall be leaving the studio for the program The Choirs with my brother Pascal. But now, Mr. Daniel, coming to, the effects of gender-based violence, what can you say?
I want to take it in 3 angles. Number 1, physically. You will expect permanent or partial damage or disability. Okay? That's why some people have been crippled permanently because of gender-based violence, which has to do with the physical violence. We've also seen scars, people living with the scars on their body. Okay? Because of the damage, because of the things that have happened in there. And then 2, we have also seen poor nutrition, poor feeding. Physically in many families. We've seen chronic pain. People are in pain, chronic physical pain, because somebody hit your arm, somebody hit your tendon, somebody hit your back, somebody hit your waist, somebody hit your head. So you have chronic pain and even chronic illness.
True.
You know, some of these fights, physical fights, for instance, we've also seen people who have whose organs have been damaged in the fight, because here among the Lugbara people fight with any tool. People fight with the heavy logs. People hit you with the logs, not even stick but logs. You know, so at the end of the day, and some of the organs are permanently damaged.
Yeah, true.
So that is on the physical side. Now looking at the mental side, the anger, the anxiety, the fear, the shame, the self-hate, self-blame, post-traumatic stress disorders, nightmares, depression, sleep disorders, suicidal thoughts, substance abuse, social rejection. All these are coming as a result of the mental state now of the violence. And then looking at it from the sexual violence, people who have been raped, people who have been molested, people who have been abused sexually, many of them, up to right now, they are struggling with the sexual disorders.
True.
There are people who detest sex, they don't want to hear anything to do with it because of the traumatic experience.
True.
That's why even right now as I speak, there are some girls and boys who have chosen to remain single, not because they didn't want to marry, but because of the experience they had while they were still young, while they were still toddlers, while they were still teenagers, makes them to detest anything to do with the marriage.
True.
And then also we have risky behaviors. For some people who have been abused sexually, many of them lose self-esteem, many of them lose themselves. So at the end of the day, they say, after all, what is there for me to protect? After all, what is it there for me? My life is gone, I'm hopeless. That's why we have so many of the girls in the streets of Arua City and even other towns here within West Nile.
True.
People have taken out the risk because they're like, after all,
yes,
you know.
Yes.
We have the abuse. We have abortions that are happening because the cases of abortion are high because somebody attacked you, somebody raped you, you don't even know the father of the of the child. So many people fear to give birth to this kind of children, so the only thing will be abortion.
Yes.
And in the course of abortion, men have actually even died.
That is true.
And even many of them have even lost their homes. Of course, we have the HIV, which is actually increasing right now. Because the other day we were looking at the figures, the surge is crazy. The numbers are rising. You know, the new infection rates are actually very high in Uganda. Why? Because of some of these issues. You know, we have even suicide happening here because some of the girls or the boys, after that kind of horrific experience, they hate themselves. They end up with the suicide. You know, we have maternal deaths. We have even bad pregnancies, bad pregnancy outcomes. Because I've seen women who are pregnant and then they are raped by unknown people, even sometimes by known people. So at the end of the day, it affects even the pregnancy.
Yes.
So all these are challenges that we go through in our communities. So that's why we're saying, hey, look here, we need to end this kind of violence. We need to end these issues so that we're able to prevent gender-based violence cases. We're able to minimize these risky behaviors. And then also we're able to also address issues of mental health, because mental health plays a very big role. Because now you see most of the... Just go to the Arua main prisons here. Go to any prisons here in Uganda. The number of inmates with the sex-related offenses are very many. Why? And then if you begin to track downwards, most of them, you find that it is because they were not themselves. They were influenced by the drugs. You know, and some of these drugs, most of these drugs make people to become sexually active. So at the end of the day, it promotes some of these issues, the violence and all that. So that's why we're saying, hey, look here, help is available. Let's get to a place where we support our family members. We support our survivors. But above all, where you see red lights, where things have happened, please report. Even though there are barriers to reporting, but still let's report.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. But still remaining with the issue of gender-based violence, I don't want us to first rush to mental health yet. Now here you are really advocating for ending gender-based violence in our midst. But of course, if people are not reporting these issues, people are not reporting these cases, then I think the efforts may not really yield any fruit here. But of course we need to first report, and such that we can get into the roots of these things and also try to understand why these things are taking shape like this, and we can be able to find solutions. But now, according to you, what could be some of the obstacles, like what today's readings are telling us, those the hilly places that we have that are preventing these things to be achieved, but the barriers to reporting?
Number one is the stigma. Like as I said it here, stigma is a huge barrier. Because and there are 5 areas of stigma that we need to address. Number one, we have the societal stigma. What the society talks about these issues. Even sometimes when you want to report, the way they look at you is like I was saying here, when you are a man and then you have been abused, or your rights have been violated by your wife or by any woman, then when you report the question that people even ask within your community will be, what kind of man are you?
How can you report?
How can you do that? So because of fear of the stigma, people then don't. Number two, the fear of disbelief. Fear of disbelief. You find that some people will go on the report and say, we don't believe you. Maybe it's a lie. How could it happen? Maybe it's a lie. So people may not believe you. So there is that fear of disbelief. Number three, there is a fear of revenge. Because now here what happens is somebody will fear to report because they know these people can revenge. So if they revenge, I will be the victim. They will say I'm the cause. So let me just keep quiet and die silently, because I know the impact of the revenge will be heavy. You know, there is a gender-based violence that happened in the Bible. The daughter of Jacob, when the girl reported how she was raped, their brothers revenged. You know, they first came and they told them, okay, now what we're going to do, we are going to allow you to marry our daughter, but on condition, first circumcise all the men. So they circumcised all the men. So because guys were circumcised and then they could not do anything, now in their pain, these guys came and they revenged and they killed all of them. So there's that fear of revenge. My people, if I report, because they will say I am the one, so I don't want to be labeled the bad one. Another reason why people don't report is ineffective policing.
Okay.
Now, I know this may sound funny, but I want to still address it here. Our policing system is poor. In that even when a case is reported, say even in the police, the very people, the very parents come back to police and say, no, please, Afande, we want to go and settle our matters at home. True. Because they are also now looking at, now, this girl has been raped. So yet, if we do it from the village setting, then they will give us some goats to eat. Okay? They are going to give our goats, Kasurube, Ali, you know, Kai. So we are going to miss on these things. So we need them. So they come back to police and they say, Afande, well, let's take our case back. This is what is happening now.
True.
You know, so ineffective policing even now is making people not to report, because they know even if I report, maybe nothing will be done, or the very people will come back and then take away the case. That's why many cases have been closed, even here in Uganda. Yet these are gender-based violence cases.
True.
So because of that, people are not ready to report. But still we are saying, hey, report. In fact, the police plays a very big role. So we are saying, hey, if anything happens like this, please report. Report. Okay. Report to the nearest authorities. Report to your parents. Report to your family members. Report to police, because the police is actually here to help us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, for actual the barriers that do prevent actually people from reporting some of these gender-based violence issues that do happen in communities. But of course, you rightly said that the police, we need to also engage the police in preventing this. But now, apart from the police, what could be some of the roles that people can really play, in regards to ending gender-based violence?
You know, Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Because in the Congo we say, mon peuple périt par le mal des connaissances. So here, education will play a very big role. But our people are not sensitized. So we need to embrace education in our communities. Educated men and women improve the status in the community. Okay. And if you look at most of the cases of the gender-based violence in our families, and then you look at the nature of the people who are violating these things. Many of them are semi-educated. Yeah. But then if we can embrace education, if we can support the girl child to go to school, we support the boy child to go to school, we support people to go to school, and then also we sensitize people. Like even right now what we're doing, we are creating awareness so that we're able to support and people can be able to come out. That's number one. Number two, we involve boys and men in the activism.
Okay.
Now, when we're talking about gender-based violence, and then in most cases out there, you see it is the women's groups doing this campaign. But then, okay, you will ask, okay, so who is the one impregnating the young girls? It's the boys. Yeah. Who is the one beating the girls and the boys? So the girls and the women? It's the men.
The men.
So, for you to address it, then you must involve the boys and the men in addressing these issues. So that also we need to help the boys and the men to understand their role in preventing this, and then also get them to change their mindset based on their cultural backgrounds, their cultural practices, their cultural beliefs. Okay, and then also community-based approach. That's why me, I am a person who appreciates community-based approaches, even for mental health. We do community-based. Why? We have the community actors. In the community, we have the LCs. In the community, we have the religious leaders. In the communities, we have the elderly. So if every one of these people are taking their positions, if the religious leaders are doing their best every week to talk to their members, the elders are sitting with their people talking about these issues, they actually minimize these issues.
True.
So the advocacy, we need to increase advocacy and awareness, and we need to engage all the stakeholders. That way we will be able to address issues of gender-based violence very well, because these things are happening everywhere. We need to help people to understand these issues. We need more sensitization. We need more social workers in the communities. We need more people engaged here, so that people understand their roles, they understand things around them. Though I know also, even when we leave it from the community, when we come to the town centers, I know even in different places of work and different angles, I know even, like, for example, sexual harassment at workplaces is huge. But then still, when we keep engaging different sectors, different community leaders, different parties involved, people can actually be helped. Reporting will be easier. People will actually report. People will actually ask for help. Why there's too much trauma in West Nile is because we are not reporting some of these issues. And let me say something here. You are as sick as your deepest secret that you keep to yourself. You know, because that's deepest secret that you keep to yourself is what is actually eating you up. It is actually eating you up like a virus. It is actually what is actually triggering all these bad feelings. It's actually what is triggering all this anger. It is actually what is escalating, you know, this anger and bitterness, unforgiveness, greed, jealousy, all these evil things. It's why? Because you are feeling terribly bad about what happened, yet you didn't report.
Yeah, for I understand there are so many people who have survived from gender-based violence, though they now move with
they're moving with a lot of pain, a lot of anger.
Yes.
One thing I want to say is, please, treatment is available.
Okay.
Don't die in silence. Come out and seek for help.
Okay.
Not the best treatment for these people. For some of them, they might need even medications. Because if it involves the physical harm and all that, even the mental illness, some of them might even need to have some medications. Number two, psychotherapy plays a very big role, because it is in the psychotherapy that this person will be able to be helped to open up, so that this person is able to share what happened and then is helped to cope. So psychotherapy plays a very big role. Then number three, please, I want to repeat again, report to police. Report. Ready to help, but then how do we help when we don't know?
We don't know.
Please, speak up.
Let us talk to this last caller. And hello. Yes. Good afternoon. Your name and your location. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you.
support their life.
Mm.
But when you go there, you solve the issue, you put your house. And you are cutting their family problem that one solve it.
Mm.
Then you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you solve it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You have to hear
Mm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
How can you
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
so much. That is Jero from Nebi. I think Mr. Daniel, you can actually comment on that, and then we call it a day.
When you want to help somebody who is a victim or who is going through such a thing, one thing we need to look at is, please, I always say, the best way you can help a person is see the person as a person. Don't see a person as a problem. Because when you see a person as a problem, you can't help them. And then because that's where you will have the blame game.
Now,
It is gender-based violence. Even it begins from the sex. It is actually sexual and gender-based violence now. The best way you can address it is before you solve the problem, seek to understand what's happening. Because you cannot do what you don't know. You must. You can only do what you know. So the only thing that you can do is, as a brother, what you can do is talk. First of all, hear this man out. Hear him out. Befriend him. Hear him out. Then after hearing him out, don't blame, but rather help him to deal with those issues one at a time. Because why? In most cases, we just come with the tools ready to fix a problem, but even we don't know what the problem is. So first of all, seek to understand what the problem is, and then if he believes in you, then he can be able to tell you even what the issue is. But the problem is sometimes we come to help, but then at the end of the day, we become the village megaphones to proclaim what is happening to us. So please, when people come to you for any support or any help, please maintain the secret, because it is a secret that they've shared with you. Confidentiality plays a very big role. That's actually also why people don't come out for help, because confidentiality is not there. So I believe we can still be able to help out that neighbor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Dleba, I think we can stay with our last words because we are out of time. Yes.
So many things to discuss, but our time is up. I can just leave my contact as usual.
Okay, go ahead.
0774-805028. If you are within here, you can call me, or you can send a WhatsApp, or you can even send a message. But if you're in DRC Congo or South Sudan or out of this country following us online or with the different other platforms, you can first put +256 774-805028. Please speak up. Help is available. We can be able to refer. We can be able to see how to support you. And help is available. Together we can end gender-based violence, and we can promote peaceful coexistence in our families, and we can actually together improve our mental health.
That is true. All right, thank you so much. There are some messages here, but majority are just appreciation. Dixon Arumavayo from Ondoparaka, Musemba. This is Emily. This other one is Junction. Thank you for appreciating, and of course for being part of this wonderful show. And we are out of time. Actually, we are out of time, and this is where we will stop for now until next Sunday. And I had a pleasure of hosting Mr. Dratibi Duleba Daniel, and I was Fredo, the host, and we were talking about gender-based violence and mental health. From me to you, I want to say that we must make Jesus concretely alive to the people in the world through our life. If we can do that, I think we can be able to, reduce these issues of gender-based violence, because it is only Jesus that can help us to pass through all these things. All right, thank you so much. Have a blessed Sunday and the week ahead. We're out of here. Be blessed.